POV's content may not be suitable for some audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable for some audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to modern audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to modern audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion is advised.
Folks, welcome to another edition of WPOV Global. I'm your host, the legend T. James Logan. With me, the gentleman himself, Elio Canella. Elio?
Yes, sir.
You've been hanging around with some bad crowd lately, haven't you not?
I have. How do you mean?
Well, a little birdie told me that you were hanging out with Rick Serrano, who I believe is the 27th wheel, and some awful little ragdoll.
Yeah, apparently we're the three best friends.
That's our gimmick, buddy. We're the best friends. Those two, they can pretty much go, well, yeah, you know where they can go. Well, you know what, Elio? I had a chance to listen to you filling in there. And you know what? Rick Serrano did graciously point out that me and Tony Diaz are apparently senior citizens of sort.
And we're supposed to be taking care of you.
Very old and aged. But I would like to point out that despite the fact that I have been terribly sick this week, I am not a third wheel of any kind. I've always been the number one wheel on my show. It didn't take a fruit cup to get me to move up one position, if you know what I mean. Anyhow, Elio, you got to keep better company when I'm not around, buddy.
I will remember that.
You'll be judged by the puppets you hang with. Well, folks, you know what? We're back for another edition of Wrestling POV Global. We are going around the world. We're going to take a look at all the regular shows we look at. We have some special stuff from New Japan. But you know what? Let's start off, as we like to do, with the rumblings. And the rumblings are all the news that we can find across the indie world. You know what? Before we start these rumblings, there's one thing I want to throw out there. This week, there was something very interesting happening on Monday Night Raw. And that was Roman Reigns coming out and talking about he is in remission for his leukemia. And I, for one, think that's great. I want to congratulate Mr. Reigns. That's wonderful news.
Yes, very wonderful.
What I find very disturbing, however, is a very large amount of people on the internet claiming that this was faked, that this was a big work, and kind of really downplaying the importance of really what this man went through. And I'm a little bit disgusted.
It's terrible. Like, even the groups that the Wrestling POV post our podcasts or our polls in, I go in there, I read the comments, and they're just too awful to repeat on air. Yeah,
you know what, folks? We are not going to talk about any of those things, but I, for one, just want to say cancer has always been a topic that's been close to me. I've discussed in the past that I had cancer when I was a young boy, and I survived. And I don't appreciate the way that Roman Reigns has been kind of torn apart by the internet jackals out there. And you know what? There's lots of great people. There's lots of great fans, especially here on POV Global and POV Regular. And I just want to say, don't stoop to that. It's really easy to just, jump in and make laughs at someone else's expense, but this is not something to really laugh at.
I had to deal with something like that, with that as well in the past, about 8 years ago.
So, this is something that's, it's a personal thing, and it's not cool.
Not cool.
So, you know what? Let's move on to the rumblings this week. I got some news. Since we were just talking about the WWE, let's talk about some news right out of WWE NXT UK. And the bit of news two pieces of news, actually. One of them, they are picking up a star from from 205 Live. Noam Dar is going to be a regular now. He's moving back to England and will be a regular on UK NXT. So that's going to be great. What do you think of Noam Dar? I really like this guy.
I've seen him on, I don't watch 205, but I have seen him on Raw, and he's pretty good. I enjoy watching him.
Well, you know what? He is also, and we've talked about this, he is a massive Oasis fan.
A massive Oasis fan, the Scottish Supernova.
And he'll be the first one to tell you. So,
Yeah.
you know what? You found a piece of trivia that I didn't know about the name Noam Dar. We're not going to talk about it today, folks, but the first time that Noam Dar appears on NXT UK television, we'd like you people to guess what the name Noam Dar means, where it's from, and Elio, who tracked it down, will tell us on that episode what it means.
Yes,
Sound
I will.
Cool? All
yes,
right.
I will.
Now, the other news is interesting is, you remember, for the last couple of years, NXT has been doing the Download Festival in Scotland. It's a 3-day event, and they've been, every past couple of years, they've taped matches and done stuff there. Well, this year, NXT UK is going to do it exclusively. Not
is that just the name, the Download Festival?
Yeah, it's a music gathering thing. Right. It's a 3-day festival in Glasgow, Scotland, June 14th, 15th, and 16th. Lots of great music and now some great wrestling. And this time, more of a flavor on the UK because usually it'd been regular NXT that had gone over. This year, the NXT UK is going to make its debut, so that'll be really interesting.
Oh, okay.
Now, coming up, of course, so we're going to go over to MLW. Do you know anything about the Battle Riot? Have you ever watched those things that they hold every year, the Battle Riot?
I'm not sure. I can't say I have.
Okay, well, it is a 40-man sort of Royal Rumble type thing where weapons are allowed and no disqualification. You can win by throwing someone over the top rope or pinning them, and it determines a number one contender.
Hold on, even if there's still guys in the ring, even if you throw someone over the top rope, like the first person to get thrown over wins.
No. It goes down just like a Royal Rumble. Everyone gets eliminated to the end. Okay. But you can make pins and you can make people submit in the middle of this. It is a big important match for MLW because it does in fact determine who's going to be their next challenger. It's interesting to note that last year's winner, can you guess who he was? Filthy Tom Lawler. That's how Tom Lawler got the title shot this year. He is the current champion.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, you know what? This is an important match. This isn't just a throwaway gimmick thing. This is, well, it is kind of gimmicky, but it holds importance for MLW. So it's going to be very interesting to see that.
Okay.
Moving over to New Japan. This one I wanted to ask you about, okay? And I know you're maybe not the biggest fan of this guy sometimes. It's been announced that the next anniversary, that'll be the big show in March 3rd, will be the next big New Japan card. The anniversary event, the main event, Jay White will be defending his belt against Will Ospreay.
Oh, wow.
Now that's big news.
That is big news. Will Ospreay. Isn't he the never open champion?
He is the never open champion. And you know what? He has been putting on weight, and he's finally being classified as a heavyweight.
Oh,
So he's spent a lot of time in the junior heavyweight division,
right?
Much success there. But now, I think Jay White too he's not that much over a heavyweight himself. Now I got to ask you, man, Jay White, are you sold on this dude, or do you think that he's just been pushed a little too fast, a little too?
I don't know. They seem to be like pushing him just a little too fast. It's like I think it's too soon for him to put the belt on him. He needs more time.
Okay, fair enough. What do you think about him and Ospreay? Do you think Ospreay is going to make him look like a star, or do you think he's going to?
I don't know. It should be an interesting match.
Well, you know what?
When it happens, I think it'll be a good match.
So yeah, Jay White, not sure, man. I guess we're really gonna see because Will Ospreay, very talented wrestler. He can really make you look like $1 million, but if you can't run with him, you're obviously gonna look like crap.
Yep.
So this will be a big test for Jay White. I know. You know what? We're going to discuss this week's poll, but I think Jay White's going to be in our next week's poll. And we'll talk about that after we talk about last week's poll.
Okay.
But moving on to news, Ring of Honor. The bit of news I have out of there, the Woman of Honor title will be defended at the 17th anniversary show. Mayu Iwatani is going to redefend her belt back against Kelly Klein.
Oh.
So that'd be interesting. To be honest, let's face it, American back in this thing, I'm thinking this is a Kelly Klein win. I'm thinking Atani took it to Japan, put a few matches in, gave it some news, made it a little more prestigious, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Kelly Klein winning that belt.
Yeah, it's going to come back. Yeah.
Looking at Impact,
No.
You're going to love this, buddy. I got two pieces of news. One, a new signing, and one, a re-signing.
Okay.
New signing, Josh Alexander. You must have seen this guy, Canadian guy. I've seen him quite a bit. He was trained by Johnny Devine. Great wrestler. He's going to be coming in. He wrestles a lot in Ontario.
Oh, okay.
Border City and a lot of those places.
Border City.
Yeah, he's a really good, solid wrestler. I think he'll be really exciting. He has that gimmick where he wears the old, you remember like Rick Steiner used to wear that wrestling helmet kind of deal thing? The little wrestling gear. Yeah, he wears that sort of thing in there.
The little headgear?
Yeah. And your favorite, you're sitting down, right, Elio? I don't want you to fall over in excitement. But Sami Callihan has re-signed with Impact.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah. What's that? Is that a toilet bowl flushing somewhere? Anyways, yes, Sami Callihan. And you know what? Last week I was kind of sick. I was a little bit out of it with a head cold. I forgot to do the book. Sami Callihan makes me think of the Book of Shame. We're going to look at it this week, dude, because I have we're going
to look at it. Yep.
I have a new nomination for this, okay?
Oh, okay.
Now, moving on in news here. Evolve. Now, the only reason I'm bringing up Evolve, we don't usually cover Evolve too much, but I had reported last week that Ricochet was going to be doing some dates for Evolve. Now that he's been called to the main roster, that has changed. The WWE has pulled Ricochet off the events, but they've replaced him with Velveteen Dream. So Velveteen Dream will be filling in for him.
Wow, Velveteen Dream on an Evolve card.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And because I know you love AEW so much, I'm going to end my news piece with AEW. It has been confirmed.
Okay.
The Young Bucks will indeed be facing the Lucha Brothers. It's signed and done. That's for sure going to be one of the main events.
Oh, boy. Oh, joy, oh, bliss.
Now, I'm going to turn it over to some rumors, and then we'll do our poll. But, Elio, tell me the rumors. You've had your ear to the ground.
Okay, yes. Let's take a look at rumors. The first piece of rumor does in fact have to do with AEW, and of course, Goldust has changed his Twitter handle. He's now using Dustin Rhodes, and on a recent episode of Being the Elite, Cody Rhodes was shown the match cards, and next to his match, his opponent's name was blurred out, and speculations are that the opponent for Cody at Double or Nothing will in fact be Goldust.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
The next... Sorry?
I was just going to say, if that happens, I think that's a great match. I mean, Dustin Rhodes has been used so poorly the last couple of years.
Yeah. That would be a very good match.
Yeah, I think he's still got a bit in him. And hey, the chance to fight his little brother on the big stage.
Like he needs to get out of this whole Goldust thing. It was good 20 years ago. Now it was like news different back then.
Fair enough.
And of course, WWE is reportedly upset with The Undertaker. Now, we don't usually do WWE news. However, he will be appearing at StarCast, which takes place the day before the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view event.
Well, you know what? That's a great thing to report because, that does involve the indie world. Yes.
Yes, and the final piece of news comes from RevPro.
Oh, really? I'm interested. Let's hear this.
Now, on the last event, it was High Stakes 2019. It was Will Ospreay and Pac in the main event. Of course, that was, a great match. And the team of CCK, Chris Brooks and John Gresham interfered, and Pac and Ospreay took them out, so the match ended in a draw. Now, on WrestleMania weekend, RevPro will be in New York City, and the rumor was that it was supposed to be a rematch between Will Ospreay and Pac. However, due to the interference from CCK, it will now be Chris Brooks and John Gresham taking on the team of Will Ospreay and Pac at RevPro Live in New York.
Wow. That's kind of a letdown, don't you think? I think I would rather have seen Pac.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to that rematch.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'm digging that too much.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't know. When I saw that piece of news, this looks interesting, but I really wanted to see the rematch.
True enough. You know what? Let's get into the poll of the week.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, did you have some more news?
Oh no, that was all for the rumors.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's get into our poll this week. And folks, I got to preface this by saying this was kind of a softball that we threw out there, because the truth of the matter is, if Dean Ambrose does not re-sign, and he still has not re-signed, if he does not re-sign, there's no way in hell he's not going to be on AEW's next show.
No, and if you noticed that last night, he didn't join Rollins and Reigns on the stage.
Exactly. They're slowly kind of, what's the word? They're burying him a little. Is him to go over to AEW with like, oh, that awesome wrestler who just left. So if you give him his last couple weeks or his last month or two and just book him like crap, maybe people like think, oh,
Right.
Wow, big deal. And that's what WWE is kind of hoping for. So I think it was a 6-figure deal or something like that. It was quite a bit to re-sign. He was offered a lot, and he turned it down. It was a multi-year deal apparently. So that's the thing, is that he wasn't looking for security and he wasn't looking for money.
Wow.
So I really do not see him staying with the WWE at all. Now,
I can't believe the numbers here, though.
Yeah, let's take a look at these numbers. We had 201 plus votes.
Wow.
Over 200 votes.
Okay.
44% of the people said yes. 56% said no. I'm sorry to sound like I'm laughing, but guys, there is no way that he's not going to sign with AEW.
No,
Okay,
of course he is.
but let's look at some of these comments. First of all, I'm going to read the first two, and you read a couple of them. Okay. First of all, I'll do. Dusty Riley said, "I'd rather see him in ROH." Heck yeah, who wouldn't?
That would be good. Yeah.
Jacob Hughes said, "I thought he already reached another WWE deal. He has not." It said he was pissed at where his character went, hence the semi-face turn on Raw last week. No, the semi-face turn was to make him look bad. It makes him look flaky. It makes him look like weak and ineffectual.
Makes him look dumb, like when he walked into Rollins' interviews, like he was asking him, "Where were you when I was getting beat up out there? Where were you?"
Yeah, like it looks so weak and dumb.
They're making him look dumb. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Jim Schultz says, honestly, he should probably take a break, heal up, and enjoy not being in the public eye for a while and live his life.
Okay. Let's keep in mind, though, that he is, 38 or 39 years old. He doesn't have much of a shelf life left on him. Taking a break and healing up, he's probably in the tail end of his career.
Ian Chapman says, I think he will just go back to CZW.
Definitely a step down. CZW cannot offer anywhere the amount of money that AEW would.
CZW is like a step backwards. You don't want to go backwards, you want to move forwards.
Or if you're not going forward, at least you go sideways. This is definitely 2 steps back. No, CZW, at his age, I'm sure the last thing he wants is barbed wire matches and death matches and all that crap. So
because Jim Schultz also says, and almost died. Jake Ryan Petty says he took half a year off. Jim Schultz replies, and almost died.
Yeah. Guys, I you know what? If we're totally wrong here, we're going to eat humble pie and say it, but I don't think we are. I really do think he's bound for AEW. Look at it this way. His contract finishes up. Because of the nature of his contract and the way it's finishing up, he does not have a 90-day no compete clause that's usually in these contracts. Mm-hmm. He finishes up. He can wrestle tomorrow for New Japan, for anybody. He doesn't have to take that 90 days off. Now, WWE is notorious for this. They sign guys with a 90-day clause. So what happens is, say Elio was a wrestler and he wanted to go to another company. They're kind of hoping if he doesn't sign with them, the 90 days that he has to sit out, hopefully people kind of forget him a bit.
Well, no, this company sucks. I want to compete. How dare they put a 90-day no-compete clause in my contract?
Right, because they don't want you to build up your name super big with them and then use that to go fleece the indies,
Yeah.
Now here is Ambrose doesn't have a 90-day no-compete clause at the end of this. Mm-hmm. So when he finishes, by the time he finishes WWE's run, he will have enough time to go to AEW and compete legally and be able to fight with them. So
now, see if he wasn't leaving, they wouldn't be booking him the way they're booking him. They wouldn't have made him lose the Intercontinental Championship.
Mm-hmm. And so
they wouldn't be making him look stupid the way they are.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. But as Rick Serrano would say to the 56% who voted nope, you make a good point, but it's stupid. Nah, sorry guys. We're joking around. We're not being that jerky. It's just I would be really, really, really shocked if he didn't go to AEW. So it was sort of a softball question. I expected everyone to say, "Oh yeah, of course he is." So it surprised me that 56% either don't realize the contract negotiation process with him, or they have a lot more faith in WWE, which is I don't know about that, but. Let's face it, they are not making him look like a good, credible face. They're making him look like an idiot floundering around out there. And it's not cool. I mean, when you have Nia Jax pushing him around and come on. All right? That ought to tell you something. No, you know what, Elliot? Let's go into a poll. I've been thinking about a poll this week for next week.
Oh, okay.
And this is a poll because me and you sometimes we talk about wrestling, and we've kind of, and I too have been kind of leery about Jay White. As being he came out of nowhere. I mean, he came back last year from excursion, competed for 1 year in New Japan, and won the biggest belt in their company.
Right. Really, I hadn't heard of Jay White until Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, well, he was in last year. Remember him and Chris Jericho, the Switchblade thing.
Well, because I hadn't really followed NJPW much, but
well,
I do remember hearing the name, but I just had never really seen him until last year.
He has not have much experience. He only has a couple years of experience under his belt. So my question is this, folks. Is Jay White a credible New Japan Pro Wrestling heavyweight champion? Take to the polls. Tell us. Give us some comments. Tell us what you think about Jay White. Maybe me and Elio are not seeing the subtleties. Maybe you see a lot more in him. Or maybe you're thinking that New Japan is just a little light in the, with a lot of guys leaving with Omega and the Young Bucks gone. Maybe they're looking at trying to start a whole new thing. Who knows?
Right.
Tanahashi had a pretty short reign. That was like he lost in his first title defense. So we'll see where that goes. Okay, well, you know what? That is it for the world of news today. Let's get into the wrestling today. All right?
All right.
I want to start off. We're going to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling. There was a few interesting things to look at.
Yep.
First of all, the Azuka retirement thing.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
That guy had to be the most boring wrestler.
Before we destroy this old man's legacy, let's talk a bit about there was a good match on there. I really much enjoy Tanahashi and Will Ospreay taking on Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith Jr.
I did too. That was an excellent match.
Very good.
That was very good. Yeah.
And it's amazing how big those two guys are. Archer and Smith are humongous. I mean, in Japan, they even look bigger. I mean, I was surprised, though. I got to say, I kind of feel this team gets dumped on a lot. Like, they're such a big, dominating team, yet they don't ever seem to win a lot. They seem to be misused a lot. I kind of thought they should have won.
And Davey Boy, when he was down on the mat, and he jumped back to his feet for how tall he is, that was pretty cool. Like the way he jumped,
like a kip up like that, from a guy who's 6'7" or 8. That's some pretty cool stuff. Very good match. But you know what? Let's talk about the ugly elephant in the room. The match that everyone came to see, the last match of Azuka. Now, folks, for those of you who are listening and are not sure, and you know what? You might even watch some New Japan and have no clue who this guy is, because they don't use him a lot. He's very undercard now. He's quite a bit older. Right now, he is painful to watch, in my sense. He's this old, broken-up dude with this really goofy-looking gimmick. It looks like it's a... Well, first he comes out and he's got his mouth tied up. So, you know...
Easy there, Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, and then they unleash him halfway through the thing, and he literally bites people's shoes, hands, butts, whatever he gets his hands on. And then he pulls out this ridiculous-looking metal thing, which looks like... I don't even describe it. Imagine if you made a glove without the hand part.
I've never seen Azuka. I've only seen pictures of him.
Yeah.
But that one thing that always stood out to me was that ridiculous glove. I was trying to figure out how that even works.
Yeah, it's just like slides over your fingers. It doesn't even, there's not even a hand part. So he
I could take another bit, cut the thumb off, and make my own glove.
exactly, and you know what? It sort of looks like. Oh man, it's such a terrible gimmick. He pulls this thing out and he attacks people with it. It's his iron glove or whatever they call it. Okay, for me, it reminds me of back in the 80s when I was a young boy and I'd watch AWA, and there would be this guy called Baron von Raschke, who
Yes, Baron Rashi.
Now I'm sure when
he was also in the WWF for a short time.
But I'm sure that when he was younger, he was an effective wrestler. But when I seen him, he was just this old dude in walking around in a house coat, putting the iron claw on people, like walking around ridiculously holding his hand.
He used to walk around. He used to hold his wrist. He used to have his hand like a claw.
Yeah, and it was the most ridiculous. Even at 14 years old, I thought, man, this is crap. Azuka is pretty much the Baron von Raschke, and because of that, yes, he is lower card talent. Yes, he's kind of crappy, but he's an old man who's given quite a few years to the company, so they gave him one great match with a story. Now, it's been a long time since he's been involved in any kind of story, but they actually gave him a story, and this story involved, I don't know if it might have been hard to follow along in Japan, but the story was in the beginning of how he had teamed with Tenzan, and they were called best friends back then, or good friends, or something like that.
Uh-oh, they took Chucky T and Trempero's name?
No, dude, this was like 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they were this team, and
so they're the original best friends.
Apparently, but they didn't hold hands or any of that junk. Or maybe it was good friends or something. But anyways, they were wrestling, and they were together a lot, and then he turns on Tenzan, and I mean, he bloodies him badly.
Oh, wow.
And it was pretty vicious. If you go back and look on the footage of it, it's pretty cool. So Azuka ends up becoming this crazy maniac. And the story is, over the years, he's gone insane. And and the story here is, if you notice that in this main event, they matched him up here with Tai Chi and Minoru Suzuki, because he belongs to the Suzuki-gun faction. They team up against Yano, Okada, and Tenzan. Now that ought to tell you right there this is a weird match, because Tenzan is not, he doesn't even deserve to be in the top mid-card anymore. I mean, he's old, broken down, he can barely move, he does Mongolian chops, and that's about it.
I've never seen Tenzan, but he didn't look that good in this match.
Well, he's getting up there. Like Tenzan, he's been in a lot of injuries. I mean, 10 years ago, Tenzan was the man, you know?
I was actually looking up Zuka. He's, I believe, he's like 59. No, 52. Sorry, he's 52 years old.
Wow, he looks like he's 72, eh? Man.
Right.
I guess that Iron Claw stuff is really hard on the body. Anyhow, this was a terrible, terrible match. And it ended, of course, with... I love how the Japanese do this. There was Tenzan. Keep trying to reach him, you know? He's going to bring him back, his last match, bring him back to sanity. Yeah. And what happens?
Holding the t-shirt out. And, what happens?
They lay him out and bloody the hell out of Tenzan.
But what is it with... now, okay, you said, like, this guy goes around biting people.
Yeah.
I never seen Suzuki biting people, though. Him and, I believe he was, biting, think Tenzan or someone's hand, him and Takashi or something. No, I think it was two of the other ones.
Takashi and
Takashi or someone were biting his hands.
They were probably just playing along. They don't usually do that sort of thing.
And then, but he went around biting everyone's head.
Yeah,
Izuka.
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
It's ridiculous. So we got one good match out of that card, and I started to think, what's it going to be like? But there was another show on there. It was like the 70th Giant Baba retirement thing, like after, because he's been dead now.
Yeah, you're telling me about that.
No, I tried to watch this, man. It was brutal hard. Okay.
Oh.
Not only was there no English whatsoever, which was hard enough. I mean, I can watch New Japan because I've watched it enough. I can watch it in Japanese and I get it. Yeah. This card, I guess. It featured every Japanese company had a representation there. So there was guys from all these weird little companies, big companies. I didn't recognize like 90% of the people.
Wow.
There was a crazy gimmick battle royal. There was a guy who was dressed like Abdullah the Butcher who bled like crazy.
Wow.
And I just didn't get it. It was just crap. I didn't like it. And it bothered me forever because I couldn't figure out who the main event guy was. I kept looking at him like, who's teamed up with Tanahashi? It turns out that was oh my God, the guy who used to be in the WWE got his neck broken by AJ Styles. What was that guy's name? Yoshitatsu. Remember Yoshitatsu?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember. Yep.
Yeah. Yoshitatsu is kind of a shell of what he used to be, so it was weird seeing him in the main event. And it was something. I wouldn't recommend watching. I told you not to bother unless you really wanted. We had enough stuff to look at.
Unless I was really bored.
Yeah.
But then I'd be even more bored.
So I started getting a little bit depressed, thinking like, whoa, is that all I got for New Japan? But no, there was one more, Carl. Well, there was two, but they only televised one of them. And that was the Honor Rising Part 2. And there was a lot of cool matches. It involves ROH guys versus New Japan guys. Two of the matches that really stood out for me, and I told you to take a look at too. Let's talk about, first of all, the Gorillas of Destiny defeating Evil and Sonata to win the tag team belts.
Yep, these are the belts that they lost at Wrestle Kingdom to Evil and Sonata.
What did you think?
This was a very good match. I really enjoyed this match. I always enjoy like watching the Gorillas of Destiny and Evil and Sonata. I like that again. Sonata with the Paradise Lock.
That is such a goof.
That move just like, I don't know. It's just something about that move.
It's just ridiculous.
That stands out. Yeah.
Folks, what the Paradise Lock is, it's this kind of weird thing where you fold a guy's arms and legs and then flip him over, and apparently he's supposed to be locked into position. And the only way out of it is you got to kick him really hard in the ass.
Every time I see that, I want to put my brother in the Paradise Lock.
I don't think it really works. I got to say that, it was nice seeing Evil and Sonata, but there's parts of me that just want to see them move on. Like, don't be tags anymore. I want to see Evil on his own. I want to see Sonata rising up and wrestling on his own. Gorillas
Destiny. Yeah, we've already seen them in singles. Well, I've seen Sonata in singles matches.
Yeah.
With Suzuki. Yeah.
But I want them to go back into the singles. Gorillas of Destiny, I love Tama Tonga. He is so cool to watch.
Now wait, who is he? He's the guy with the long hair?
Yeah, the smaller one of the two.
Okay.
The one who's always swearing and acting weird. Do you recognize his brother? Do you recognize Tongaloa?
Yeah, I recognize Tongaloa from WWE.
Now, I cannot remember any match with Comanche at all. That's who he
I only remember him as the second to Hunico.
Yeah.
Or whatever that guy was that went on to portray Sin Cara.
Well, all I remember is them riding on a bicycle, remember? One of them would ride on the back.
Yeah. That was him. He would be riding on a bike.
But I got to say, Tongaloa, massive dude. He got really big. Good match. It was fun. Enjoyed it. Moving on, though, moving along. Mark and Jay Briscoe putting up the ROH titles against, what a great name, huh? Finn Juice.
Finn Juice.
It was nice. It really showcased the Briscoes,
I was saying last week, the Briscoes, sometimes they have their on days, sometimes they have their off days.
Yeah, last week was off.
It wasn't one of their best days, but this match was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I did not think for a minute Finn Juice really had a chance of winning this belt. It was.
I don't know if anyone can beat the Briscoes.
And then it was neat to see the Briscoes challenge Gorillas of Destiny to belt versus belt match at the upcoming ROH New Japan thing that's going to be held in Madison Square Garden.
And that takes place on April the 6th.
That is going to be pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Boy, who do you put your money on for that one?
Oh, hard to say. I mean, the Briscoes, like I said, I don't know if anyone can beat the Briscoes, but if anyone can give them a good match, it would be the Gorillas of Destiny.
Yeah, I don't even know who I'm going to pick on that one. I'm just going to let that slide.
Yep.
You know what, though? That is our New Japan Pro Wrestling Roundup. Why don't we take a look at WWE NXT, my friend?
WWE NXT. All right, here we go. So, the opening match. Now, this week, I believe they were in Phoenix, Arizona. And we open up with the team of Mark Andrews and the Mod Father, Flash Morgan Webster, taking on the Coffee Brothers.
Give us some coffee, huh?
No, there was not really much to say. Andrews hit a tornado DDT, Webster hit a headbutt, but it was Mark Coffey with the right hand and a big discus clothesline from Joe Coffey to put Andrews and Webster away for the win.
Now, I'm not sure what I think about the Coffey brothers. They're supposed to be the big bad guys, and they seem like they look like bulky, smaller guys. They don't really seem like they're that tall. Is it just me?
I don't see the Coffey brothers. I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to give Flash Morgan Webster. I actually dug his uniform this time. The black kind of British flag thing was kind of cool. I'm going to give it that. The whole Modfather stuff, well, we're not British, so we probably will never understand that nonsense.
Right.
And Mandrews, well, he's Mandrews. Next.
He's Mandrews. And next, we had a vignette. Now, I said when we did our top 5 on 5, we picked the 2 women. I said I want to see more from Nina Samuels, and then when we did, we said the jury was still out. I think this repackaging, bringing her back as the Nina Samuels show. I want to see where exactly they go with this, because I think this might be something.
Okay.
So I'm still gonna wait on this to see like exactly where they go with this.
I'm not sure at all. I'm going to step back and we'll see.
Yeah. Then we have a promo from Jordan Devlin, and that's followed by a vignette by Kaylee Ray.
Oh yeah.
She was in the Mae Young Classic. Kaylee Ray.
I don't want to sound rude or anything, but I've seen Kaylee Ray like a year or two ago. Mm-hmm. She seems like she's aged 10 years in the last year. She looked like a middle-aged woman in there. I don't know, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but
no, she did like there was something just like odd about her look.
Yeah, wasn't it, eh?
I noticed that too, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but she just looked very, very much older than last time I saw her.
In the next match, we had Trent Seven versus Shane Thorne. Now, I only heard of Shane Thorne teaming with Nick Miller on the regular NXT, so this is my first time seeing him.
Now, you know that they released his partner, right? That dude's gone.
Nick Miller, they released his partner, yep.
I don't know what's going on with Shane Thorne. Good match.
Good match, yeah.
This is, I think, what Trent Seven needed, because wasn't it just last week I was saying that it seems like Mustache Mountain is more carried by his partner than him, and that he seems kind of like the weak link? He did actually a pretty good showing here.
He did, because Thorne had him in the chicken wing. He broke the chicken wing, hit a series of elbows, and delivered big clotheslines for the 3 count.
So if you put the chicken wing on somebody in Florida, is it a turkey wing? Okay, anyways, no. In Canada, it's the Canada Goose wing. Anyways.
Oh. Then we had a promo from the grizzled young veterans, Zach Gibson and James Drake.
You mean Mr. Clean and Shawn Michaels' ugly brother?
You know, I have to say,
yeah,
Zach Gibson's promos, I can't understand like his accent.
Yeah, I'm sure nobody can, to be honest. Doesn't that?
I did understand what he said. Like he could have been relaxing back home in Blackpool, but instead he was flown to Phoenix against his will.
Wow! How does that happen? How did he get past customs?
I don't know.
Homeland let him in, even though he had a gun to his back. Seriously?
Then, of course, the number 1 contenders to the NXT UK Tag Team Championships, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, made their way out.
I like those guys.
Yeah, they are. When I seen them in picture, they look is different than seeing them live. I want to see these guys in action.
I
like their look.
They're a really good team. They really move their stuff together.
And of course, I don't know. I thought we were supposed to see Walter versus Cassius. Oh no! Again, they plugged this for next week, along with the grizzled young veterans against Lorcan and Burch.
Sounds like a better episode than this week.
Right, and then we had our main event of Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley for the NXT UK Women's Championship match.
Now, I'm going to preface this by saying this, okay?
Okay.
WWE has some great women.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm are the only 2 solid women in the women's UK.
You know, like I've seen... Well, no, wait, Mia Yim is up there as well.
Well, Mia Yim wasn't, though. Remember, that's only because they were in Phoenix they put her in there. She's not really...
Right. Oh, no, I understand. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley. So Storm hit the Storm Zero to retain her championship.
Now, I gotta say this. I love how the British use headbutts than we use it in North America. You know, we all,
They just like go boom.
Well,
they hit the.
well, they kind of hit somebody in the face, or it's never head on head where they're hurting themselves.
Yeah.
I find it effective and cool. I kind of wish maybe more people did that here. Love both these two women for different reasons. Okay.
Yes.
And they both are incredibly good at what they do. I really hope, part of you kind of cheers for Rhea Ripley because she's sort of the more plainer. She has to work harder to be, Toni Storm's absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
It's an easy ride for someone with her and talent. You figure Rhea Ripley's going to be one of those girls who's always going to have to toil and be like, she's going to be like the Becky, like the girl who plugs along and doesn't get enough recognition. Great match. Overall, what would you give this week's episode of NXT UK?
I'm gonna give it about maybe a 6.
No, I'm gonna go like a. We usually do like an A, B.
Oh, I'm gonna give it about a C. Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow, a 6.
I'm gonna give it a B. B minus. The Coffee Brothers kind of sucked the air out of me.
Yeah, it's the Coffee Brothers that did it. Otherwise, it wasn't a bad show.
True.
It was better than last week.
Thankfully, you did not say something that you could have said that somebody who I'm going to nominate in the Book of Shame later said something. We'll say it later. Please don't say it. Please don't say it.
I'm leaving it for you.
Okay, we'll leave that to the end. So yeah. You give it a C. I give it a B minus. So pretty close. I think we should probably. Well, let's talk ROH really quick, and we'll take a break.
Okay.
This week's ROH only had 2 matches. First match had Madison Rayne defeating Sumi Sakai and Jenny Rose to get like a number 1 contention shot coming up. Interesting 6-way or 3-way. Sorry,
3-way. Yeah.
You didn't get to see it?
No, I did watch it. That's why I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, Sumi Sakai. We saw her at Final Battle. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sumi Sakai, she did really well. Madison Rayne impressed me a little. I didn't think she had it in her to be that good. And I do feel bad for Jenny Rose. Jenny Rose is definitely going to be the girl who never gets to the top. Fans love her. She's a bit chunky. She's a bit plotty. She doesn't have... She
seems new to ROH. Or maybe newer to me.
She's newer to you, buddy. She's newer to you. They don't really highlight... Okay. They don't highlight the Women of Honor enough. She has a great fan base, but she just doesn't have that Toni Storm look. Or she doesn't have...
Right.
She looks too much of a girl next door with the chubby look. Don't see them ever putting a belt on her, but she works hard. And, Madison Rayne comes out on top. Okay match. Main event. All right. Fans, a lot of people in this one. Juice Robinson, Tracy Williams, Dave Finlay, Bandito, and Mark Haskins beating Jay Lethal, Jeff Cobb, Flip Gordon, Jonathan Gresham, and Dalton Castle. This was 30 minutes... 35, 40 minutes of a lot of action and not very much cheating because all these guys were trying to do it with honor.
Yeah, they were trying to put the honor back in Ring of Honor.
However, it was important to note that Jay Lethal broke up a move once. Jonathan Gresham broke up a thing once. And it was pointed out by the announcers that these guys were breaking the Code of Honor a little bit.
Oh.
The end of the match. Dalton Castle eats the pin. At the end, everyone's in there kind of grumbling and da-da-da. And finally, they shake hands. But did you notice that one person did not shake hands?
Dalton Castle
slipped out. So I don't know what that says for him in the future. If he's not going to be on the side of good or what. But he did not seem happy that he ate that pin. So that'll be interesting to see. I'm going to give this show... I'm going to give it a B+.
So it'll be... at first, I wasn't sure what to think about that women's 3-way, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, and the main event definitely had a lot of stuff. Jeff Cobb looked like a monster in this. They had him tossing guys left and right. Tracy Williams looked good. I never realized how technical he was. Him and Gresham going at it quite a bit was pretty interesting. All in all, I'm going to give it a B+. I thought it was an okay show. All right, fans, well, we're going to take a quick break here. When we get back, we're going to take a quick look at Impact. So it's back into the toilet sewers again. Then we'll pop up, get some air from MLW, look at the Book of Shame. And this week we have a special interview. If you thought you knew what Insanity was about, if you thought you knew what Wacky was about, you don't know nothing.
Oh, no.
So you sit down and spend 8 minutes with Teddy Hart. Oh my
no.
goodness. This happened a couple of years ago, folks, and
I'm looking forward to this one.
it is something. I'm just going to say it is something. So let's take a break, guys. One.
All right.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is The Godfather, and you're listening to POV. Fuck, see, I just fucked that up. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is The Godfather, and you're listening to the POV podcast.
Hey, folks, we are back. Let's take a look at, you know what? We've had enough highfalutin good wrestling. No, I'm not going to say that. Let's take a look at Impact.
Let's take a look at Impact this week. Okay. So we're going to start out with the champion coming out to the ring to cut a promo. And of course he's interrupted by Moose, and that leads to our first match, which was a no contest because Johnny Impact, who was on commentary, interfered and attacked both Moose and Killer Cross. So
Now, you know what?
that's all I'm going to say about that.
We're so sick of these guys. We're so sick of these guys.
That's why.
And yet, I got to say this really quick.
Yep.
I actually dug Moose fighting Killer Cross. I wish that had come to a more conclusion and not, let's get back together again at the end.
Hey, you never know. We might see another rematch down the road.
Fair enough.
And then we go back. No, we're not gonna cover the backstage because no. Okay, so we have the.
Is this the Rosemary crap?
No. It was Johnny Impact talking to Brian Cage about the rematch. Yeah. So no, the next match had the Rascals pulling out the win over the Desi Hit Squad after Trey connected with the big double knee off the top rope onto Rohit.
Now, did you catch that nonsense where they were sitting around and Gamma pulled out like a bong?
Oh my!
And got that super higher?
Yeah.
Oh my lord! Just getting worse.
That was terrible.
It was horrible.
See,
this match.
TJ even threw his plate across the room for how upset it made him.
I'm sorry. The Rascal stuff is scrappy enough. Don't drag the Desi Hit Squad. These guys are struggling enough to find their own foot. Don't give them this crap too. I mean,
and then we see Eddie Edwards taking on Eli Drake, which I just love this guy's promos. He's just when he does his promos, I just like sit there like. Then I think about how to incorporate his lines into my everyday life.
Oh my! Hey, do we ever figure out why Eddie Edwards calls that stick Eddie? No, just kidding. Moving on.
So it was Eli Drake picking up the win. It was Eddie Edwards rolling him up for the pin after Drake attempted to use the kendo stick. And following that match, we had Alicia Edwards versus Delilah Doom, which never took off because Tessa Blanchard came out and interfered and attacked Alicia Edwards.
Delilah Doom. Mm-hmm. I liked her look, and then I Googled her up. I want to see more of this chick. There's something really different and unique about her. I liked her.
She has an interesting look. When she first came out, I wasn't sure. I was like, she looks interesting. But then, when I saw her after when the match began, I was like, okay. And then, she's
the nice thing about that,
yep.
She's going to get a rematch, right? She asked for not a rematch, but she asked
for Tessa Blanchard next week.
So I hope she's not a squash. I hope she gets something because this girl, she wrestles a lot down in Texas areas.
Okay.
She's been around for a couple of years. Does aerobics instructor gimmick like her.
Jazzercise.
Yeah, jazzercise.
Yeah, that's what they called it.
All right.
In the main event, okay, I really hope this is the last. LAX versus the Lucha Brothers. The Lucha Brothers pull out the win after doing the Fear Factor pile driver.
These are great matches, but it's got to stop, or it's just going to dilute all the other ones.
It gets repetitive every time we see these four guys. At the end, though, it was LAX pulled the masks off.
Yeah, that was kind of something, eh?
Yeah.
The Lucha Brothers get the win. One thing I just got to keep noticing is, I know Pentagon is supposed to be the big star in that team, but man, Phoenix works so hard. Did you see those runs? He'd run across the rope and spin kick guys in the face, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, Phoenix does a lot. Yeah.
And I think and this is what we're going to talk about in our next segment about MLW. Sometimes Lucha Wrestling doesn't feel good. Like you watch it, it's just like, it's boring because it's too much.
Yeah.
I felt that this LAX Lucha Brothers stuff was great. It had a mixture of the Lucha stuff mixed in with hard hitting stuff. It felt more realistic and grounded, and I enjoyed that a lot. Surprisingly, I'm going to give this week's episode a B.
And pretty decent. I'm gonna give it a B.
I like the first match with Killer Cross and Moose when they fought. Loved the Jazzercise girl.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Edwards and Eli Drake. It was an okay match.
Yeah.
The Rascals, well, they kind of made it not an A. But you know what? I'm going to give props. You didn't bring it up, but I just found it interesting, and I know I shouldn't. Rosemary in the backstage segment with
James
what the heck
Mitchell.
is that guy's name?
James
Mitchell. And that's going to be an interesting. I just like Rosemary a lot.
I hope she doesn't. We don't really talk about that on here.
Yeah, because of that Sue Young crap. But we'll see how it goes.
But just
maybe
how long have they been dragging this story out? Oh my!
Who knows?
It feels like forever. It's like it's enough already. I like Rosemary though.
So well, you know what? Like I said, I'm going to give it a B.
Yep.
Okay. Let's move over to MLW. Okay, we're going to go through this. We've been dragging along this week, so let's move along quickly. There was only 3 matches. The first one had Rich Swann defeating Lance, and I'll probably say his name wrong. Anoa'i. He's one of the
Lance
Samoa
Anoa'i,
dudes.
one of the members of the Anoa'i family.
Now we got to see Rich Swann being the disgruntled employee again.
Yep.
Lance, whatever his name is, didn't really dig much out of him.
Oh my! You know what? That promo was just terrible backstage before the match.
Yeah, it was terrible.
He's trying to be Steve Austin. You can't be Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's only one.
Yeah. It was an okay match. No, it wasn't even that great a match. No. It was a so-so match.
No.
Okay, Mance Warner defeating Jimmy Uda. I gotta say, we saw Mance last week, and we were just like, "What the hell is this?"
Mance Warner.
I dig this guy. I really like it. It's old school kind of. He's almost like Stone Cold in a way. You know, he's this kind of crazy out there guy who kicks punches, pokes you in the eyes. I loved it. I loved it, and the crowd loved it.
That's what I was saying. Like, but the promo backstage when he was using the whiteboard.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff's ridiculous.
The promo was ridiculous, but no, his in-ring work. I really liked his in-ring. I like
his gimmick though. His gimmick, remember his gimmick?
Yep.
I pull up the knee pad, and then I pull down the knee pad. That's my gimmick.
He kicked Jimmy right in the face.
Yeah, he actually did it in the match. I'm getting a kick out of this guy. I hope to see more of him. Main event. Ray Horace defeating Aerostar.
Mm-hmm.
This is where there was lots of really cool moves, but dude, there was just no heart to this match. I couldn't invest in it. I didn't feel anything in it. I watched it. I actually started getting bored, even though they were doing lots of stuff. This is where Lucha sometimes fails, where it doesn't connect with...
This one I wasn't feeling. Like, Aerostar did so well in that AAA versus Team AAA versus Team Impact. Yeah. But then this week on MLW, not so much.
He eats the pin from Ray Horace. Yep. Overall, this week's MLW, I'm going to give it a C.
Yeah.
Okay, because Mance Warner made it hilarious for me, but the rest of it was kind of a letdown.
Like I said, I didn't like that backstage film with the whiteboard trying to talk like Steve Austin, but in the ring, he was just like, I like this in ring.
Now, if we look at it, NXT UK, mm-hmm. Impact, MLW, Ring of Honor. I'm going to say, for me, the best show of the week would have been... I'm going to go with Ring of Honor this week for wrestling. I thought it was, of all those shows, it had the best showing.
I'm going to go with ROH because, Ring of Honor, it's just like every week when I watch it, it's just I like the whole setting, the in-ring action.
And I got to say, Impact, some days it delivers really well lately.
Yeah.
You know? MLW is so hit and miss. Some weeks I love it, and some weeks it's like, wow, that was okay.
Yeah.
You know? And NXT UK is the same. Yeah.
Impact Wrestling, it's they are trying. They're not like completely like in the toilet. They're like up and down.
Yeah, we make fun of it.
They're floating.
They're floaters. I've heard of those. You got to flush twice with a floater. All right. Now, before we get going, folks, we have to address something we didn't address last week.
Yes.
And that is the Book of Shame.
The Book of Shame, and I have it open right now.
All right. Will you please read us the current members of the Book of Shame,
The
and let's see if they
current
still will be in
members-
there.
The current members are Facade, who we haven't seen anymore.
He's still in. He's still got to be in.
He's still in. And we have
Yeah.
Tommy Dreamer.
Oh, always in.
We have Sammy Callahan.
Oh, even more so.
We have the Christ brothers.
Oh, yes, even more so.
Gringo Loco.
Oh, he's earning his way in there pretty good.
The Mod Father.
Okay, you know what? I actually dug what he wore this week.
Yeah.
I think he deserves to get knocked out this week.
Okay, so we'll take him out then.
Take out the Mod Father.
Alright, we'll take that. Where Mod Father, you're coming
Oh,
out.
do you agree? Do you agree? Do you think what he was wearing this week kind of redeemed it a little?
He wasn't too bad, yeah. He was,
Yeah,
a
he was-
little better. Yeah.
All right. Is that all the so far we have in?
Then we have your favorite word of the week, fashionista.
Okay, the word is in. Now I'm amending this because now
Oh.
I am putting in Nigel Guinness.
Oh,
Nigel
no.
Guinness, if you say fashionista one more time on a television show, I am literally going to find a way to reach through your microphone and strangle you. Fashionista, give me an effing break.
But TJ, I'm saying with a feeling to my ear.
Oh, I'm going to choke you too, Elio. Don't you talk like him. Fashionista. Ugh. You don't know how much I hate that word.
Okay, Nigel, look at this. You're going in the book.
You just read the book! Oh, shame.
You got any nominations this week?
This week, can't really say that I had. I don't really have any nominations this week. I'm good.
Sounds good. All right, we also don't have any new matches to put into our vault yet. We've only have one match in there, but you know what? We're still at the beginning of the year, and there's lots of big stuff coming up. You know what, Elio? I have a surprise coming up. I am working right now. We're close to getting a new clothing sponsor.
Oh, wow. Very
And
cool.
I'm negotiating with them. I'm also trying to see if when our first contest comes up for our AEW points game, that they're going to donate a prize.
Oh, very cool.
So we'll see how that, hopefully I can hammer that out by the next episode. Folks, the last thing you're going to hear after we say goodbye is an interview. I got to tell you, this one is worth waiting for. 8 minutes that is going to melt your mind. It
All
melted
right.
mine.
Is it going to melt my face and my ears?
Let's hope not. I don't think your face can take any more melting, Elio.
Oh.
Sorry, the puppet paid me to say that. I love, by the way, my favorite thing on that episode was where you said, as a gentleman, I say I'm sorry. He said, as a puppet, I say, fuck you. I laughed so hard when he said that. I don't like to swear, but that was just too much. Too much. All right, folks. It's been another great week. We love traveling around the internet with you, looking at some great wrestling. We saw some really good stuff this week.
Yep.
Mats Werner
we
made
did.
me laugh my ass off. I'm going to keep saying that. That guy's pretty funny. Elio, it was great as again talking to you about wrestling. Looking forward to
Is
seeing
there
what
talking to you?
hijinks. You stay away from those POV boys. They're bad influence. Tony's the only good one in that batch.
All
You
right.
know, I got my eye on that Rick Serrano and that puppet, and maybe even Mimi, but Tony's the one to watch for. Okay, I don't mind you teaming up with him, but that puppet
All right.
and the other puppet, nah. All right, folks, have yourself a great day. I'm your host, the legend T. James Logan. My co-host, the gentleman himself, that's you,
Elio
buddy.
Canella.
Wishes you a great week. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Take care, guys.
Hey folks, we're at backstage at PWA Retribution. I'm sitting here with one of the most famous wrestlers in Western Canada, Teddy Hart. Teddy, welcome to the show.
Oh, God bless you, brother. Thank you for having me. I apologize again to the PWA fans for saying bitch on the microphone. I was trying to get a point across that Kurt Sorokin and PWA is a great promotion, #1 in Alberta, and they're getting screwed because of lack of publicity, because it costs too much money after booking all these guys, paying all these kids, paying all their trans, paying for the building, and then getting screwed on this thing they call taxes and wrestling commission on top of that. I like to swear on that one, but I won't. That's pathetic. So poor Kurt's screwed. He doesn't have enough money to do a lot of stuff after that, let alone advertise. But he's giving wrestling a bad name, though. because wrestling's got nobody here. There's no
Right.
one here. And if we keep running shows like that, it gives a flavor of cheap. If I show up at a restaurant and I want you to buy my hamburger and I got flies and shit on the floor, no one's going to buy their fucking hamburger.
Exactly.
You go to a show and it looks great, but I mean, there's no one here. It gives the wrong feel. And these guys are trying so hard. You couldn't watch a better wrestling show anywhere in the world.
So how do you bring the fans in, Teddy?
Well, I have an idea, and I'm running it by guys, and I'm going to do it. I'm taking over here, and I'm going to run my own promotion. I'm going to call it Next Generation Stampede Wrestling. It's going to be the only promotion in the world that gets to work with guys from AAA, TNA, All Japan, New Japan, Noah, and Dragon's Gate. And I believe CMLL is going to offer some of their talent up for me to do a joint venture with them. Now, if WWE has the balls, I'm calling them out now. Let me use your talent in Florida Championship Wrestling that's not getting any experience anyway. Bring them to Calgary and let them break their bread, or so you want to call it, pay their dues in Canada, where a lot of the greatest wrestlers in the world were trained. My family, including guys like Chris Benoit. You ever heard of him?
Yep.
Yeah, one of the greatest ever. I don't care whether you say he murdered his wife and kids or not. I don't believe it for a second. He's a saint. Those kind of guys, though, came out of the dungeon. Good guys like Jericho, Lance Storm, Saints, guys that are considered good guys. You'll trust your children with them. Guys you know for sure. If there's an animal shelter opened up, they'll be at it. Guys I believe salt of the earth. You look up the word. Stu Hart was salt of the earth. Lance Storm salt of the earth. Chris Jericho salt of the earth. These guys are proven heroes. They got a track record. Reliability, dependability. You heard of it? Yes.
So you're looking at starting a promotion, but what have you been doing the last while yourself? Have you been competing?
Growing medical marijuana down in California legally for Arnold Schwarzenegger. I heard President Obama smoked some of my weed. Dead serious, when he was in Mexico, because he can't smoke while he's in the States. Legit, you might think I'm crazy. What the fuck are you talking about? He just asked me what I've been doing. You want me to lie to you?
No, I just meant on the wrestling front, though.
Oh, I
heard
can't
you were
ask
down
you.
in AAA,
I
weren't
can't
you,
ask
or-
you. AAA is a country, Mexico. You've heard of it, right? A lot of drugs come out of Mexico.
Yes.
My dad's brother works for the FBI. You know that?
Wow.
Yeah, Ivan knows that. My dad works with a lot of police officers. It was my mandate, Conan's job and Jack Evans' job, to go down to Mexico, and they launder money through cartels down there. I don't know what they do, but they launder a lot of money through wrestling shows.
Wow.
Because no one's going to say how many people bought beers and how many people sat in an audience of a wrestling show if the Mexican government says this many people, and the Mexican government's the ones doing all this shit probably, because who else is doing it?
Right.
Probably the American cops, the Mexican cops, and Canadian cops all work together to let a certain amount of shit into the country. No one wants to hear about it. Chances are that keeps the cops doing their job. Because if there was nothing here, then it'll be less work for the police. Then you know what? If there's nothing here, then don't ever let the shit into the country in the first place. My point, guys, in case you forgot, was what have I been doing for the last couple of years in Mexico? Convincing cartel guys that there's no point in selling coke. You can grow medical marijuana, do what Arnold Schwarzenegger did in California, and all of your people can make money. You can have vending machines. You can have people, instead of selling coke and the U.S. government coming in to take all your shit with guns, they're going to come say, can we buy your pot and give it to Arnold Schwarzenegger? Because guess what Tijuana is? It's a place in Mexico. Guess what border it's right on? Yeah. San Diego, California. You might have heard of it. Arnold Schwarzenegger, you might have heard of him. You might have heard of marijuana, most popular substance smoked on earth. Yeah, more than crack or more than nicotine and cigarettes. I will go back to the wrestling thing. I've been wrestling in Mexico trying to get a job for kids down there. You're going to go down to Mexico and tell a bunch of guys that are Mexican that we're going to take your jobs because we're better wrestlers? No. You prove that, you know what, we're such good wrestlers that wrestling's the only team sport without an I in it. Oh, there is an I in wrestling, isn't there? Yeah, it's a team sport.
So, can I ask you, I've been watching a lot of Mexican wrestling lately.
Yeah.
Who are some of the great Mexican wrestlers you've seen down there?
None of them, because I don't mean to be rude to you.
But honestly.
My point is, originally, I'm not talking about Mexican wrestlers because I'm making guys great here. Chucky is a great wrestler here. Theo's a great wrestler. They're going to go wrestle guys like Mystico. Pero Aguayo Jr. is a great wrestler. Mystico's a great wrestler. Santos is past his prime, but I wrestled Santos down there. He's great. Conan's great. I know a guy named Super Crazy. He's not bad. Crazy Boy's even better. Gladiator is awesome. Ultimate Gladiator is a great wrestler down there. Joe Leader, Nichos, those are great guys. But without wrestling good Americans like me or Jack Evans, like Chucky, these guys who I'm trying to get jobs for, my point of going down there and working with guys that work with the FBI, working with guys that work with the police, is they're the same guys running the wrestling promotion. So if I can get these guys booked and convince them that I'm not a cokehead, I'm not a retard or a drunk or a guy that likes women, prostitutes, because that's what Mexico's full of, drugs, prostitutes, and alcohol. You can go down there and not get killed, not OD, and then you can vouch for guys. My job is to try to get guys jobs in wrestling. Chucky, Scott, Outback, whatever you want to call them, guys like Ivan training Mexican kids, teaching them psychology because they never heard of a Frankensteiner. Yeah, they have heard of a Frankensteiner. It's the psychology word they've never heard of. Ivan's a great coach. Lance Storm's a great coach. Get some of these Mexicans up here. Have you ever heard of an exchange program? Exchange students. I'm opening up a promotion with Mexico. They're taking guys like Theo and Dan to Mexico to give them the experience so when they go to WWE, which they're destined to do because they're friends with TJ and Harry, they're family members of TJ and Harry. Anyone trained by me is a family member. Blood, sweat, and tears, you've heard of it. That's the shit that makes my school famous. My school right now has got an open contract with AAA to send guys down to Mexico. That's what I've been doing for the last 3 years, opening a channel because Japan's not really doing much. Mexico's the place to go. It's way hotter, it's way closer, and it's less work on a green card, visa, that shit for promoter. Doing the right thing, trying to convince the Mexican government and cartel guys, stop selling coke, sell weed. Please, it's the right thing to do. It's your children you're killing. Half these guys on the border are your own people now that are American citizens with dual passports and speaking 2 or 3 languages. Educated kids, they don't know the coke's bad. They don't even know better. It is being given to the kids by the wrong people at the wrong time at the wrong place, and it's ruining their lives. 60, 70 years of hard work are getting flushed down the toilet. Wonder why wrestling's a shitty sport, guys? No one cares about it because all the guys got effed up on drugs. They flushed their lives down the toilet, and that's why wrestling has the highest mortality rate out of any athletic sport on earth.
Excellent. Well, if there are people who want to get in touch with you to
TeddyHart.com, guys, my website, my wrestling school. Please come down to my wrestling school. It's somehow, some way free. It will cost money, but there's a way of getting the money from somewhere else or getting it from a bank. I've got it all set up for you guys. Check out TeddyHart.com. And I love Kurt Sorokin and running this promotion. He's got big balls for keep doing it and keep losing money. But I'd never keep running my head against the wall. And if a friend saw me doing the same thing over and over again, like running my head against the wall or eating my own shit, he'd say that was stupid. So Kurt, stop running a promotion where you lose money. I'm not trying to diss you, I put you over, but maybe you could work with me and we could all make money together. And you guys could wear fancy clothes like me if you choose and have $1 million bank account like I do.
Excellent. Well,
and he's a fag, they say on TV. I love homosexuals too, guys. That wasn't a diss. That was Ivan, my good friend.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you, Teddy Hart, and we wish you the best.
Guys, sorry to ramble on, but if I let guys ask me questions about everything, we'll be talking about my favorite wrestler, Chris Benoit, for 20 years. God bless you.
Thank you very much.